Hello quilting friends, I'm Linda Nitzen today with Sizzix to show you how to do the Country Roads block, very simply made with your Sizzix die cut machines. So you can make this block with either the Sizzix Fabi machine or your Big Shot, whichever you have, or a Big Kick. You can also use the Big Shot Pro machine. I'm going to show you on the Fabi machine today just for the sake of it's smaller and easier to move around, but you can use either machine for your convenience. Okay, so today we're going to take apart this block. You need the 2.5 by 4.5 rectangle and a 2.5 inch square. So, two different dies. We've got fabric here from Andover Prints with the Downton Abbey fabric, which is royal and regal today. And we'll use the green to cut out the rectangles. So we need our rectangle die. And we need 4 of those rectangles. So we're just going to roll the fabric over, covering the die, but don't go too far over that shape because we don't want to waste any fabric. You can do up to 8 layers at a time. So if you are cutting out to make more than one block, feel free to cut more than one block at a time. Now we need 4 different rectangles. And we need 4 different layers. 1, 2, 3, 4. The excess fabric you can put on the back side of the die. You do not need to cut it off ahead of time. So we're just going to roll that extra fabric to the back. Be sure when you roll your fabric to the back that your fold is on the outside of the die backing. Will improve your cutting. Okay. Cutting pad at the top and cutting pad at the bottom. I'm going to flip that back over and we're going to run it through the machine. Now when you put this through your machine, whether it's the Pro or the Fabi or the Big Shot, you do not need to put it through completely straight. Your fabric is straight, but your die can be a little crooked going through. That actually improves its cutting ability. Slide your cutting pad off. Here are your rectangles. Now occasionally you get a couple of threads that might stick. Give those a little snip with a pair of sharp scissors. Do not just pull on them. Okay, we're going to start laying our block out now. All right, let's put the rectangle aside. And we don't need the green anymore either. Now we're going to work on the cream with the pastel print. So we have our fabric and we're going to change now to our 2.5 inch squares. And again, we start with a fat quarter. And we need 4 different blocks, 2 with each block. So that would be a total of 8. On the die, we get 4 different shapes at one time. So we just need 2 layers, right? A couple of turns with the handle. And we have our squares. So we need 2 for each. So we'll put the cream aside, and for the purple, we need the same number plus 1. So we need the 2 that go in each cornerstone here. Then we need the centerpiece as well. So we're going to need 9 of the purple. Okay, let's get going on that. And then we have our purple in the corners. So I know exactly where my placement is. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the 4-patch unit. So you're going to take the purple and the cream stripe and you're going to sew them in pairs and just pair them up and sew them. So we'll go over to our sewing machine. And with a scant 1/4 inch seam, you're going to sew all of the purple and the cream pairs together. And just chain sew them together. All of them will help you with your time. All right, when the last one is completed, you want to take them apart in pairs flip them over, match up the center seam, and press that with your fingers so that they nestle in together, the two seams. So you're flipping the one seam forward and the bottom seam back, and I tuck a pin right there. And I'm going to make all four, the 4 patches, I'm going to sew all of those together exactly the same way. So let's take that to the sewing machine. And again, with your scant 1/4 of an inch, be real mindful of where that seam is. That's going to help your block line up perfectly. All right, complete all of those 4 blocks in the same fashion, and you end up with a 4 patch. Now give that a little finger press. You can take it to your iron if you wish to at this point when they're all completed. Now all we need to do is sew these 2 together, these 2 together, and these 2 together. So let's get started. This goes together quite simply. Match up your edges. Again, a scant 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to take this one. We have the first sewn pieces. Now we need to attach the 3rd row. I'll take that to our sewing machine, matching up your edges. If you need to, put a pin in them, but at this point, because it's just straight sewing, I don't put a pin. You can if you like to pin. Be mindful of where your seams are. So this seam is open, keep it open, and just tuck that right in. And we need the next row. Again, matching up your edges. And just chain sew those together. And the last seam until we sew in the other direction. Double check that we've got our pattern going in the right direction, and then sew again. Now on this seam, you want to make sure that your seam goes away from the purple. So that would be towards that teal print. And I do place a pin in here because I want my intersections to be spot on. All right, take that to your sewing machine. Line up your edges. Remember not to sew over any pins. Okay, one last seam to go. You want to match up the intersection here with the intersection down here. So your purple square is going to head towards my left hand, and the bottom is going to lean towards my right hand, and you'll feel the 2 intersections right there just sort of hugging each other. That's how you know when you flip it back over again that that intersection is going to pair up correctly. And I just put a pin right in there and then line up your edges on the other side. And away we go. Okay, and there is your finished block, ready to go. That would be the Crossroads block for you today. Happy quilting!